What can you actually control in life? Think about it for a second. We spend so much time stressing over things that are completely outside of our control. The past, the future, the outcome of our actions, the opinion of others. It's exhausting. But what if I told you that by shifting your focus to what you can control, you'd feel more empowered, more in charge, and way more at peace with life? Make sure you stick until the end, because this one is gonna change your whole perspective towards your life decisions. In a world that feels unpredictable and chaotic, understanding what's within our control is one of the most powerful realizations we can have. It is the difference between living in anxiety and living with clarity, between feeling stuck and feeling free. And yet so many of us struggle because we focus too much on the things that we wish we could control instead of focusing on what we have in our hands. We have this illusion that we can control more than we actually do. And when reality hits us with unexpected outcomes, disappointments, or the opinions of others, we spiral. So let's break it down. What is really in our control? And what are we better off letting go? Let's start with something we all struggle with: the past and the future. If we spend roughly 33% of our life sleeping, I'm fully convinced that we spend another 40% of it dwelling on the past and obsessing over the future. And listen, some reflection is good. Learning from the past helps us avoid repeating the same mistakes. Planning for the future helps us avoid stumbling blindly into chaos. But the problem starts when we get stuck in these places. Your past isn't meant to be a prison of regret. Just as your future isn't meant to be a breeding ground for anxiety, balance is key. You use the past to learn, use the future to plan, but neither of these should rob you of the present moment. Now let's talk about one of the biggest misunderstandings that we have as human beings: control over outcomes. We like to think that if we put in the effort, we will get the result that we want. Now, for sure, effort plays a huge role, but does it guarantee anything? Of course not. How many times have you done everything right just to face an outcome that was completely outside of your expectation? Maybe you worked so hard on that project, but it still didn't get recognized. Maybe you put your heart into a relationship, but it still fell apart. Maybe you trained for months, but you still didn't make the cut. This is where most of our frustration comes from. Expecting control over something that was never fully ours to begin with. What's in our control? Our effort, our preparation, our mindset. But the result, that's never fully up to us. And accepting that is what liberates us from unnecessary disappointment. One of my favorite topics is what others think and how they act. So many of us live our lives trying to shape how people perceive us. We want to get liked, we want to be respected. We want to control the narrative of who we are in other people's minds. But let's be real. Do you think you have control over what someone else thinks? Not even close. This desire to make people think well of us is an endless burden. No matter how good you craft your words, no matter how much you try to please people, you will never have full control over how people perceive you. You need to understand that people see you through the lens of their own experiences, biases, and emotions. And trying to micromanage that is one of the most mentally exhausting things you can do. What's in our control? Your own integrity, your own values, your own actions. Try to live life that aligns with who you truly are, and let people think what they think, because they're going to anyway. Now here's something interesting. I call it the excuse of nothing is in my control. When people start realizing that so many things are outside of their control, they choose to go to the opposite extreme. They start convincing themselves that nothing is in their control, so they start floating through life, blaming everything on external factors. But let's be honest, this is just an excuse. It's an excuse for the mind to avoid effort. Because taking control of what you can control requires discipline, requires responsibility, and requires a lot of effort. You might think that we mentioned all these things that are outside of our control, so there's nothing that's within our control. Well, how about the way you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone capable, resilient, adaptable? Or you see yourself as a victim of circumstances, and life takes you wherever it wants? And before you say, wait, so you're telling me that if I start thinking positively all my problems would disappear? Definitely not. Affirmations alone won't do it. You still need to do the work. But the way you speak to yourself and the beliefs that you reinforce in your life shape your reality more than you think. Your energy goes where your focus is. So are you directing it towards things that drain you, or are you using it to build yourself up? Another major thing within your control is your priorities. And listen, prioritizing yourself is not selfish. If you're not well mentally, physically, and emotionally, you can show up for others in a meaningful way. Love and care aren't just words. They require action. They require effort. And if you're running on empty, you have nothing to give. And finally, your boundaries. Do you let everyone in your space? Does everyone have access to your time, energy, and mind? Because the truth is, drinking from every cup will eventually get you poisoned. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. You need to be selective what type of influences you let into your life. I see a lot of people frustrated because they assume that other people will think or act the same way as they do. And when they don't, they get disappointed. The moment you accept that people operate based on their own experiences, their own perspectives, you save yourself a lot of unnecessary stress. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling over what other people are thinking, or dwelling on the past, stressing over the future, take a break. Pause and think about the things that we mentioned, the things that you have control over, your boundaries, your emotions, your priorities, your actions. Because once you understand the main difference between what you can't control and what you can, there's no more illusion. That's when you unlock real freedom. That's when you stop feeling like life is happening to you, and instead you start feeling like you are in charge of your own path. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment below and tell me something that you've recently discovered that you have control over in your life. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date to the transformative content that I'll be sharing here. See you in the next one.